Let me start up a party to make sure my audio is going through all good, and yeah, I can actually talk louder. I'm the only one in my house, and I'm gonna be the only one in my house for the next fucking, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks. But basically, I just finished finals, so now my schedule should be better. I finished finals Tuesday. The day I'm streaming this is Wednesday, May 8th, and anyway, yeah, so I'm done with my finals. I got all that shit done with, and I'm now working pretty much full time for the summer, saving up for my first semester next year and my second semester, because it's gonna be like 22 hundo. I paid off my 1,100, but I think it went down to like 700. And
there's nothing flyable up here.
to treat myself
Meet me on the far side if you can.
after my finals, I decided that I would go watch the Avengers Endgame. And one sec, let me adjust my mic. But anyway, I wanted to go watch Avengers Endgame because I've been putting it off because I've had finals and work, so it was like my last week of school, so I had closing assignments, a bunch of book reviews, a bunch of annoying shit, you know, just finishing up basically. And if you're watching the stream or coming into this stream right now, I'm going to tell you the title of my stream is Endgame Rant, so that's a dead giveaway. 2, if not, I'm giving you a warning right now. This is going to be me completely talking about Endgame, and if my friends join, talking to them about it, if they have already seen it, and yeah, but no, I went and watched Endgame. Sorry, I love Crysis so much. I think I've said this multiple times in my streams. I love this game so much, and sometimes, especially when I'm playing like shooters or like anything with tacticalness, like if I was just playing a regular shooter, I could probably rant a lot easier. But since this one takes a bit of like planning out, because you can't just go run and gun or you're gonna die, which is why they give you shields and tac options. But basically it was the culmination of, and it's basically the end movie for the original Avengers actors, and here's a big spoiler right now, so fucking be prepared for this. Basically, after that movie, it seems that like if Clint Barton's gonna return, he's gonna be retired. Basically, that movie does a thing where they like, I shit you not, if you haven't had it spoiled for you already, or if you haven't seen it, do not watch it any further. But basically, the movie goes on about, I think it's like a month, like 24 days. It's like 24 days after the original events of Infinity War. And, sorry, I was adjusting the stream. And basically, like, the heroes are fucked up, Iron Man nearly dies, and as most people expected, Captain Marvel was the person to, Captain Marvel was the one who found him in space. He's all fucked up, and they all meet up, and Captain Marvel just kind of gets pushed into shit, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Captain Marvel, and that's not because of like the whole feminism thing that the fucking actor pulled and shit like that. Like that doesn't even actually bother me. My problem with I fucking god damn it. Oh my god, fucking driver restore program. But basically, she kind of gets thrown in at the start for like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and the first 20 minutes of the movie end with, I'd say, they go to meet Thanos. He's weakened as shit. Apparently, he destroyed the Infinity Stone, so they couldn't reverse anything. And why is it always restart me here? I killed fucking
Meet me on the far side if you can.
whatever. So his like entire half of his body is like corroded away. And basically, well, it's like he looks like a burn victim. There's a lot of like really bad injuries or blemishes on his body. He's weak. Captain Marvel just flies in on him unannounced, gets a cheap shot in, and where the fuck is this guy? Why can't I land him? Oh, he's dead. And then they are able to hold him down, which the heroes hadn't had a problem in the previous movie of like at least holding him in place. Defeating him was a different story, but they held him in place, and he was already kind of weakened. He also didn't really want to fight because he was okay with like losing at that point because he'd already accomplished his goal. And Thor gets pissed off because he blames himself for like failing everybody. He thinks that since he didn't go for the head, that it was his fault. So he fucking just straight beheads Thanos when Thanos says that he destroyed the stones with the stones. Which in the comic books you couldn't do that, but like the movie took a different approach. Which was fine. Shields. But, so they behead him, and then everyone's like, what the fuck did you do? But they realize that, like, they probably would have done the same thing. And then it goes on. It does a 5-year fucking jump, and by the way, the start off to the movie is fucking Clint Barton with his daughter, training her how to use a bow and arrow, and him turning away for like 2 seconds, and his entire family's just fucking dead. So that was a heart jerker. Apparently, it's basically everyone's redemption arc. There's a Hulk arc, but the Hulk arc isn't as like phenomenal as everyone else's. It's just more significant because it changes up his character. There's a Thor arc, there's a Iron Man arc, and there's a Clint Barton, Black Widow, and Captain America arc. And basically, all these arcs don't go on individually. What it is they get focused on as the movie goes, and they all kind of like blend in together. Like Natasha's and Clint's blend in, and Captain America and Iron Man blend in. Like they're both going through their shit as it's going on, so it's kind of neat. So they're experiencing like their realizations and like choices neck and neck, and like things they're finding out, and where the decisions have led them to, and what their plans for the future are going to be, shit like that. It all kind of just levels out. But, so the first arc it kind of focuses on is like everybody trying to kill Thanos. They realize that like they basically lost, and they give up for 5 years. And then it skips ahead and to Natasha, who's apparently like in charge of like all the heroes, the ones that are still active. It seems like Iron Man and Captain America have kind of just given up. Captain Marvel, Rocket, Iron Patriot, and the Black Army leader from I should have shot these. I'm a fucking idiot. I didn't think they'd actually explode. The army leader for fucking T'Challa, the female. And then I think that was it. And basically they've gone about their lives, but like Thor's given up, Captain America's given up, and Natasha is still kind of in it. And Captain America seems to be checking in with Natasha and like maybe executing orders, but that's as far as I think his shit goes. What is this? Oh, it's a gas cannon. So the first arc it kind of hints at is Clint's, and Clint's arc starts off with as Natasha's sitting down at the fucking table with like everybody's things going off, and them telling them how like they're going. Basically, at the start, I think what signaled Natasha to like have the whole hero overly objective thing was when Captain Marvel at the start of the movie said like the other galaxies needed the heroes. So it looks like Rocket and Iron Patriot team up, which is actually kind of a neat thing. It's never explored, which is sad. Captain Marvel goes on to do her own thing, and I guess she like gets a haircut, so she goes for a shorter haircut, which is kind of neat. It looks a little bit like kind of like how her character gets to in the comics. Because her character in the comic, I think, goes from long to short a lot. So she either goes from long with a mohawk or like super short and choppy, but like military cut. So I think that's the reason they started their like whole. I mean, they did it the Avengers Initiative, but it looks like it's on like a larger scale. But since they're missing most of their heroes, it looks like most of the heroes that are Iron Patriot and Rocket look like they're in outer space. Captain Marvel's in outer space, and T'Challa's army leaders over national disaster relief. And apparently there's not like any villains or like no huge moments during that 5-year span for some reason. I think they explain of what to like the reason most of like the important events on Earth or like important characters that we know most, like instead of it seeming like a 50-50, it felt like a 75% cut with the snap, was because since Earth was ground zero for having everything, I think it was a little bit more unbalanced. And there's even a joke at the start of the movie too, and it's a dark joke made by Captain America, which kind of shows that like he's kind of losing a little bit of his fighting spirit. He makes a joke on how like he's able to see whales in the river or in the Hudson or no, I can't fucking remember, wherever the fucking Avengers deal is nearby. I guess he was walking over the bridge and he saw a bunch of whales and he's like, I guess without the pollution or the ships, they just came out. And then Natasha's like really broken because she's never had a family before. So like the whole Natasha focus is like she's trying to compensate for the fact that she lost the only people she's ever been allowed to care about, which I think her movie will focus on. Because she's getting a movie, but it's most definitely a prequel. Because she dies in this fucking movie. I'm going to tell you, there are 2 deaths, 1 instance where one character is probably never going to come back, and a retirement out of the original roster. And I've already said that Hulk, and I'll get into those as I go. But it gets past that, and apparently Ant-Man comes out of the fucking
Hargreave never
mini
bluffed in
world
his life.
shit.
This place is going up. You've got to get out of there.
I guess there was a rat that activated his machine, you know, because like him and all them were fucking dusted. And apparently one thing they went over is like, I guess Spider-Man and all of his classmates were dusted. So Hank, or I think it's
Moving Alcatraz.
It's Scott.
We're heading
Scott
across
Lang.
town to the bridge. Hurry.
He comes out and he's like, it's been 5 minutes for me, but it's been like 5 years for everyone else. So he comes out thinking, what the fuck's going on? And his thing's in like a storage. the vehicle that he got teleported in is in a storage place. Then he brings up the point. He's like, yeah, and this is all after the 5-year jump and after Thanos' death. He's like, hey, I think we can do fast travel. And they try to recruit Tony because they think he's the only one smart enough to figure the shit out. Tony doesn't want to fucking do it because Tony's given up on the whole hero shtick. And he has a kid with Pepper, and she's 5 years old. Apparently he had a kid with her not long after, which is hinted at in Infinity War, where he's like, I dreamt we had a kid or something like that. And they do have a kid, and her name is Morgan. And it kind of shows like him being a dad, and it's really sweet because like you know that like the way he was raised, his dad was a little hard on him, and it wasn't like received well, and then his parents were killed. So like all of that shit, just like you can really see it. And apparently he's building Pepper a suit, or he's at least finished it, but he's working on it in the garage, and that's a present he's going to give her. And his daughter finds the helmet, and she tries dressing up as him. They show up to Tony's, and they're like, hey, come help us out. And he's like, it's madness. Time travel will never work. I gave this up, and I have what I've always wanted, a family and like a life, which is something you never would think he would have said coming off the first 2 Iron Man movies. But like at the end of Iron Man 2 and at the end of Iron Man 3, you can really tell that like he's changing as an individual for the better. Because like Tony was a dick when he started out. He was very much like his dad. Playboy, philanthropist, didn't give a fuck about anyone else but himself. And then like him getting kidnapped in the first one, I think really set some shit in, but he was still kind of like a playboy. Him falling in love with Pepper by the end of the I think he falls in love with her by the end of the first one, and they start talking in the second one, if I'm mistaken, and then they're together in the third. But he's like, nah, fuck that. So like they leave, and he goes on talking to his daughter and Pepper, his wife. They're married, and she tells him, she's like, I've always tried to stop you from being a hero, and I think that's the worst decision of my life. So if you want to go and help them and try to fix this shit, I completely understand. Because she said that like they had gotten lucky. They were able to start a family and like build back up, but not everyone was so lucky. And she was right, and he reflects on it by like picking up a picture of him giving some award to like Peter Parker, and like when he comes back after his 24 days, he's like malnourished and the shit's like really getting to him, and he tells Cap he lost the kid, and like that shit really stung. Like there were a lot of tears and shit in the movie theater. Like that shit cut deep. And I didn't realize how much of an impact those movies had on people till I went and watched that. And
You need to get back
yeah,
to
man,
Manhattan. We lose everything.
But anyway, so then, since they can't get Tony, they go to recruit Bruce, because he's the second smartest person they could think of. But Bruce isn't like super well versed in that field. He says he's more on like energy-based stuff and gamma radiation. So he's like, I'm not well versed in it. And the entire time Tony's running an algorithm for it because he's second guessing himself, and he finds out that it's possible because he runs it through his AI system, his new one, Friday. Because, Jarvis became. And he finds out it can work, so the Hulk tries it out on... Oh, by the way, Bruce Banner and the Hulk have completely merged, and that is a character called Professor Hulk, where it's Bruce Banner's personality and intellect with complete control over the Hulk's strength. And basically he says that like within those 5 years he figured out that the Hulk and him were the same person and they weren't enemies. And he made peace, and like now it's just the Hulk with a more Bruce Banner-y face, with like stubble. He wears glasses and he's relaxed, but like he can tap into everything. And it's just neat because he kind of seems like a dad. He's got that whole dad perspective, and the kids are like asking him for autographs and stuff. And then he pisses me off because he dabs, but it's like it's whatever. It's the movie just like trying to poke fun. So like, I let it go. One sec, I'm gonna kill this guy. Right, I need to go back and look for ammo. I think I know where some is at least. But yeah, they try to do the experiment on Pym with time travel, or Scott Lang. I keep trying to say Pym because that's the original Ant-Man, and they end up aging him and then de-aging him. So they turn him into a baby, they turn him into an old man, and he's like, I don't know which one of me did it, but it was either young me or old me that pissed themselves. He's like, then again, could have been me, and that was just like a funny scene. And Iron Man pulls up, speeding, and he's like, hey, I know. He's like, did you turn him into a baby? And they're like, yep. And he's like, this is what you're doing wrong, dipshits. And he gets in on the agenda. He's like, I want to fix everything, but I don't want to change the present. And then they do go on a conversation where they find out that, like, basically, they're going to alternate timelines. They're not going to the past. Because time travel doesn't, basically, Scott Lang's trying to say time travel works like it does in Back to the Future.
Almost 50 years floating in super cool jelly like some medical specimen. Thoughts creeping like rats through the cramped silicon corridors of machines, trapped behind video screens and camera systems. Never sleeping, never resting, never ceasing to think about the world you no longer belong to. No, if this is a taste of the afterlife, I think simple oblivion will do nicely.
See, that one's for both healing and suit energy recharge. I'm close to the other one, but I'm also super close to the end of the game. And then I can start Crisis 3. I don't know why he's still on my screen, but he is. Basically, I'm going to get across this bridge, and I'm going to go through an infested area, and that's the end of the game. Sick.
Don't waste your time out here, Raz. Get across the bridge.
Oh, shit. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm away. But anyway, fuck. Let me clear out these enemies. Like, it's just a little bit. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. He's like, hey, Back to the Future's bullshit, and they're like, yeah, because apparently you can't change time, because that would be paradoxical. You can't go back and change what you've currently done and where you're currently at in the time stream. Time travel doesn't work like that. And they're not going back to fix things, they're going back to get the time stones. So they're not going back in time because it would change reality. They're going back in time to different timelines So like basically, if you go back in time, you don't change your present or your future. Kind of like how in Dragon Ball Z, whenever Trunks comes back, his future doesn't change. You basically are just changing it permanently. Kind of. So they create like, they technically only create like 2 or 3 alternate timelines, but they also like, I guess by time traveling, they weaken the multiverse or something like that, and Thanos' snaps did as well. So like the culmination of that is supposed to bring in new characters, which is what Spider-Man Homecoming's been teasing. Or not Homecoming, Far From Home. I'm gonna go grab this guy's shit over here. So they created a timeline where Loki escaped by grabbing the cube, because they went back to grab each time stone and they're like, hey, in New York there's 3 of them. So they go to the place where Doctor Strange, his master, was originally, and Hulk convinces her to give him the time stone. They get the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter, but they aren't able to get the Space Stone, because Loki, like the Hulk from that timeline knocks Iron Man down and he drops it, and he's disguised as a soldier, and Loki grabs it and escapes. So he's alive in that timeline, and we don't know if those characters have come through, because Gamora from the past timeline gets brought into the future timeline, and now that past Gamora from like 2014 is around in our timeline, but she doesn't remember anything because she never had those memories about Peter Quill. So like he goes and he's like, Gamora, he's like, I thought I lost you, and then she kicks him in the nuts, and they go on with their fight, because she's on their side, but like she doesn't remember who he was. Wait, what? How the fuck are they shooting me? Okay, I need 1 second. Oh god, they're fast. And then they fucked up, so they're like, oh, we've screwed it up, and we only have 1 charge. Because they basically they separate into 3 teams to 3 different timelines. And the Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man go back to New York whenever it's invaded. And they fuck that up, so the Hulk goes back to the present to give the stones they've already collected to... I think they have... I can't remember who it is they have on standby. But they have somebody on standby. No, I guess they don't have anybody on standby. Rocket and Thor go back to Asgard whenever Jane has the whenever Jane has the fucking shit in her, which was funny because they don't actually use any new footage. They just use old footage and then just digitally insert them into it. So it's kind of funny. I think the only thing the actor for Jane had to do was do a few new voice lines. What the fuck is that? One sec, let me close the big bitch. Oh, it's a fucking... and basically, realizing they had one charge left, Tony and Iron Man, they go back to when Tony was born. So his dad's at the military base that Hank Pym is also at. So they're able to get Pym particles, which is what they've been using to fast travel. I mean, fast travel. Travel through time, etc., etc. And it's pretty fucking neat, actually. So they steal from him, and then Tony goes to steal the fucking Tesseract from his dad. And for some reason, his dad can't figure it out, but he feels like he's recognized him from somewhere, which is really weird because Tony hadn't been born yet. But I think he sees himself in Tony. So Tony says that his name is Howard, the same name as his dad. But he says his last name's Potts, so he uses Pepper's name. Which is kind of cute. Or at least I thought it was at least kind of cute. Okay, let's see. I still don't have 1600. I'm so fucking close. I guess I can't keep refilling on fucking ammo. Just a bummer. And like him and his dad have this talk, and he never realized that his dad actually like cared for him as much, mostly because he thought of his dad as a hard ass. And in all honesty, I think most of where Tony thinks all that shit from is his dad was so much like him that I think they just couldn't get along. Which, I mean, that shit can happen. But basically, his dad confesses that he would do anything for his son that's about to be born. And then Tony gives his dad a hug, and his dad asks the butler if they'd ever seen him before. And then that's kind of where that ends. Him and Captain America go back to the present, and while Tony's doing this, Captain America sees fucking Peggy Carter. And remembers like all the shit about her and stuff like that, and he just kind of stares at her through this window that has shades on it. So I guess, and it's got like, and it's kind of like shaded out. Oh, he's dead. And then they go back, and you know, it's just all that shit. And like the entire time you're just feeling and yearning for these characters and like relating to them, because they're very human. The one thing about it is like, even though they're superheroes, they're still technically human beings, most of them. Which I think is one of the reasons why like people love Marvel way more than DC, because like DC's like aliens, 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 and Marvel's like humans, 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 demi-humans, and half human, half alien. And like when they go alien, most of the time they don't even go full fucking alien, because they want you to relate to their characters, and it's very hard for me to relate to aliens. Which is why I think Superman's had a really rough track of shit. And they're about to release a new movie called Brightburn, which is like supposedly like a horror play on what would have happened if like Superman was like that. Invisibility of cloaked enemies. Increases the visibility of cloaked enemies. Faster health and suit energy recharge. Fuck it. I don't think I'm gonna have to. But yeah, Brightburn's apparently like a horror play on it. Anyway, so to focus on the others, Thor and Rocket go back to whenever like Jane's right before Thor's mom dies, so he like gets to talk to his mom before she passes, which is another emotional thing. She tells him to lay off the booze. And to eat a salad. And it's fucking funny, because basically when they go to recruit Thor, Hulk goes to recruit Thor with Rocket, and Thor has just been drinking his life away for the last 5 years. So he's got this humongous beer gut, and he's fat, and has like super long dreads and hair. But it's funny because like even though he's fat, he's still like super strong and has all that shit. Because like his dad's actually pretty tubby, but like there's another character that takes up Thor's mantle, which is one of the Warriors 3, the fatter one, in the comics, and he ends up becoming the Thor. It's like even though he's tubby, he's still Asgardian, and he's still Thor. So like he uses his axe, and then he steals his hammer from that timeline, and well, I don't know a bit about the Thor part. And Rocket stabs Jane to steal the shit.
Special operations. You were CIA all along? Why didn't you tell me?
Tell you. Go give me a fucking break.
But I could have helped you.
Yeah, right. Look, you want to help me find this guy. You're so sure he's the key to all of this.
No, the suit is. Alcatraz and the suit together. That's the weapon.
Yeah. Chino, anything?
Nothing, ma'am. Sweep complete. We're working our way back along shore.
I don't think we're... There! That's his signal! There he is!
Chino, back to the vehicles. We got him.
Over here! This way, over here! Jesus.
Basically, though,
you were at the bottom of the river for sure.
His mom talks to him, and then like they steal his hammer, they steal that, and they get out of there. And that kind of helps Thor get his shit together, because like
bye-bye, Hargreaves.
he's kind of been
I guess
a little
we're
bit of
on
a
our own.
bitch, and like he
Good to
keeps like
see
trying to
you,
run away
man.
and drink his
Listen, I finally worked
steal
out.
from his father's alcohol
Later,
cellar
Professor. You
because
can
he's
give your
not comfortable in that
lecture en route.
timeline,
This
and he's
way.
afraid.
Let's go.
But basically, then it goes over to Clint and Natasha, Nebula, and
Alcatraz. Man, you made it out.
Nebula and Clint, Natasha, Nebula, and Iron. War Machine. I almost called him Iron Patriot. Ah, fuck it. Where's the big gun? Ah, god damn it. I keep dropping shit. No, fuck!
Listen. Alcatraz, that chunk out of Prophet's memory?
The music and the
From
sound
the look
effect
of
is
it.
still fucking glitched. So I'm gonna pause it real fast to go on more of a little bit of a rant. So basically, the four of those characters that I just talked about, Natasha, Clint, and Natasha basically goes to see Clint and finds out he's turned into Ronin, and he's just started murdering all these fucking cartel, because they find out in the beginning like he's a killer now, and he killed a bunch of cartel members before they could get a shot off. He's basically like a ninja Batman, like a samurai ninja Batman. It's kind of neat. And then like you see him murder a bunch of yakuza, and then she recruits him again and tells him they can save his family, and he's the one that makes the jump to test them going back in time, and he finds out that his family's there, so he screams their name and gets ported back before he can do anything. But he's like, it fucking works, it works. And he's like, I want to see my family. So they go to where did they get the Soul Stone, Clint and Natasha. And they find out that that one of them has to die in order for them to get it. And Clint's like, fuck it, I'll do it. I've already lost everything, but I want to bring them back, and I'll do anything to bring them back. And I'm too far gone to be recovered. And Natasha says, sure. And then Natasha just fucking like tases him and then goes to jump. And then he shoots an explosive arrow to knock her back. And they're basically fighting over who's going to die. They're just trying to jump, and then at the end he jumps, and you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be him. And she jumps down, sticks a grappling hook to him, and falls. And he grabs her by her hand, and she like makes sure that he fucking lets go, and she dies to give up the Soul Stone. And then so he goes back, and it's kind of fucking depressing. And then War Machine and Nebula get the one from the start of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they knock out fucking Quill while he's singing, walking to get the fucking stone, and then they just yoink it. And Nebula's past self finds out that Nebula's future self exists at the current timeline, so Thanos finds out because he sees it holographically play, because I guess it's glitching her out because she's part robot.
Ceph are based right
and
under the reservoir in Central Park.
It's
and
pretty
Prophet
fucking
got
cool.
in there.
So then the
That's
past
where the main
Thanos
swarm
makes
regulator is. That's the trigger
past
point.
Nebula,
We get you,
because basically
we get
War
the
Machine and
suit
Nebula go to
inside
port out,
there.
and as
We've
War
got
Machine
a
goes to
shot at
port out,
rolling back the
Nebula
whole
glitches up,
invasion.
and then
But, we
she goes to
need
warn
bust
everyone on
into
the
park
ship,
while
and then
there's
she
still
gets
time.
shot by a tractor beam, and Pascamora
Pass the channel, ma'am. Go ahead.
Nebula tries to tell Pascamora that Thanos from the future kills her, but she isn't able to get it out. But Pascamora is actually good at heart, so she's slowly making her way over to it. So past evil Nebula makes her way to the fucking future, and Thanos finds out that everyone's getting their stones. Thanos watches his death scene from Nebula's eyes, because Nebula's there to see him die. It's pretty fucking interesting.
This city is still full of people, and there's Brooklyn,
So basically, they all
Jersey,
return
the
with their
Fallout.
stones, and Nebula returns, and Hulk snaps everyone back. And while he's doing that, Nebula brings Thanos through the fucking port and his ship. So after they snapped everyone back, he like nukes the fucking Avenger complex.
Negative, sir. Professor Gould has convinced me we have a real shot at winning this, but we must act now. I repeat,
And like everyone gets caught in a rubble, and Hulk's right arm gets fucked, or Hulk's left arm gets fucked because that's the one he uses for the snap. Like even though he's the only one who can like possibly do it without dying, it still like beats the shit out of him. So his arm's like incinerated. And I'm sorry that this is quiet. It's just that the audio was glitched out. But yeah, so that shit happens, and this is, but basically, like, they mourn Natasha first. Sorry, I'm kind of out of order, just because there's so many fucking plot lines in this fucking movie. It's almost impossible to keep. Like, if you're not a true Avengers fan and you hadn't watched all the previous movies, like, it's a little confusing, especially because they go back to past timelines and shit. So if you hadn't seen previous movies, you'd be confused as fuck. So I recommend watching. You have to at least watch the first Avengers movie, and the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and Iron Man, Captain America: Civil War, and
Drive, man! Drive!
I think that's it. And you have to watch Avengers 2. So that way, you know about Hulk and Natasha's relationship. So, like, when Hulk finds out Nat's dead, he, like, chucks a fucking bench
Damn it, where's his signal?
into the distance. and it's like really
Alcatraz,
emotional.
if you can hear me,
And
I'm
when he does
triggering
a
our
snap, he tries his
GPS
damnedest to bring her
Get to
back, but he
higher
can't
ground.
do it.
Home in on our signal.
Since she
We're
was
pinned. The staff
sacrificed
are coming out
to
of
bring the
woodwork
soul
everywhere.
stone up,
I'm gonna try
there's
to
no
reach
way in
Barkley.
fuck she's gonna be able to be brought back. And it's sad.
Maximum armor.
And you really feel for him. Just because like Hulk and Nat's relationship got put on a standstill because of that 5-year shit, and he found himself like it never really took off. One, I think that's because she became absorbed with her work, and Hulk was trying to figure out the whole Bruce Banner Hulk dynamic. And then they go in to do the snap. He brings everyone back, and then Thanos just like nukes the fucking complex, trapping everybody underneath the rubble. Clint's trapped with the new Infinity Gauntlet that Iron Man pretty much fucking made.
Maximum armor.
And he's trying to get it away from Thanos's army, because like the little fast guys that like tried to break through the shield in Infinity War are like chasing him through a tunnel. So that's actually pretty neat. Oh shit. Fuck. God, why is he so fast for a big man? And the Hulk is like dampered because he can only really use one arm, so he's holding up like the entire fucking building to stop Rocket and War Machine from fucking dying. I don't have the fucking ammo for this shit or the gun. So fuck this.
Engaged. Maximum armor.
Fuck. Let me see if the audio fixed itself, and I'll try to turn the sound effects back on, because it was like glitching out really bad. I guess it's good.
Colonel Barkley, sir, where is my air support?
And Ant-Man's trying to make his way down to save them. So Thor, I guess, made it out of the complex first.
But there's some kind of sectoral mission screwing up the frequencies. The pilot will need targeting assistance. Is Alcatraz with you?
Alcatraz, get to higher ground. Air support is on its way.
And then Cap makes his way out, and Iron Man make their way out. And Thanos is just like fucking he's just sitting down waiting. So they asked Thor what's really hard. He's waiting, and I guess he's waiting for them. And they're like, well, good, let's keep it that way so that he can't get the gauntlet. Fuck you, dude. And I missed a fight whenever Captain America and Iron Man went back to the original, to the New York fight. Cap ended up having to fight a past version of himself, which was actually kind of neat. And then like he almost loses, so he says Bucky's still alive and distracts his old friend, his old version, which is the younger version. And dead. Good. And yeah, that basically covers the shit I think I've kind of missed. And by the way, I'm glossing over a lot of stuff. There's a lot more like smaller details and stuff that I'm glossing over, like Korg and Meek and all that. They have minor roles, but basically all of them are still alive and Nebula's still alive, so it's kind of neat. And they've got like a place called New Asgard. That's where they go to pick Thor up. But anyway, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man all team up to fight fucking Thanos. And Thor and Iron Man kind of get their ass kicked. So Captain America picks up Thor's hammer and just starts beating the shit out of him. At least for a bit, until he realizes he's kind of no match. When Thanos kind of gets used to it. Basically, the only reason past Thanos is really getting a lot of his shit wrecked is, one, the past Thanos isn't as experienced as like the Thanos that they killed, who was okay and willing to die and couldn't defeat originally, and he doesn't have as much experience, I think, personally, and he hasn't like done his research on those characters like he has and prepared for the contingency. But like also, since it's the past version, he's got like his Black Watch and all of them inside his ship, but he's basically fighting them by themselves for now. They kind of lose that fight, and all three of them are fucking down for the count. And he calls in the Black Order army, and his army that attacks New York, and all that shit. So like the army's twice as big as it was in fucking. The army's twice as big as it was in fucking Infinity War. And it looks like they're fucked. But you remember, Hulk had snapped everyone back into fucking reality. So, like, Doctor Strange uses a bunch of portals to bring everyone through. And basically every assisting character from every previous movie, including Pepper Potts and her new riot gear, Spider-Man in his iron armor, all the Guardians of the Galaxy... everyone that got fucking dusted is fucking back and just wrecking shit. And then it looks like they're about to pull ahead and win, and then his ship starts... And they're basically like playing keep away with the fucking Infinity Gauntlet. Which, by the way, is fucking funny. It's funny because like all the characters are going and cycling through. So there's like... I think it starts with Clint, and then it progresses to... Black Panther, and then to Spider-Man, and then to Captain Marvel. Not Captain Marvel. It goes to Spider-Man, and then they're pretty good at keeping it away, but then Spider-Man activates his instant kill during a fight scene. So like his iron spider suit is just impaling a bunch of enemies, keeping them away while he's going away. So it's really neat. I'm gonna get this.
Call sign Alcatraz. Please confirm line of sight targeting. We are on approach.
Let me finish off all these guys so I can kind of go off again. And by the way, this is just a rant just because like I came into the movie like a week late and I had most of it spoiled for me. But since I'm doing my rant like a week and a few days into whenever the fucking movie actually released, I wouldn't have normally done this, but since it's so late in the movie, most people who are like devoted fans have already fucking seen it. The only reason I didn't is because I had finals like literally around the same time, and because I was working. So like shit was just biting me in the ass. But basically, the ship starts shooting down on him, and then Captain Marvel comes back. She had left and done it and hadn't been back. Where the fuck? What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Target confirmed. Stand by. Incoming in 3,
Oh,
2.
I guess I'm just supposed to. I guess they got it, but they didn't get it in the initial sweep. And Captain Marvel comes in and like literally
That was
destroys
too close.
Thanos' ship by
That was-
diving through it, and then she comes and picks the gauntlet off of Spider-Man, who had been like hiding in a hole because the mortars dropped and like beat the shit out of him. So he's got like a bloody nose and a fucked up face. And they're basically trying to get the basically Ant-Man's fucking van, which is the secondary time travel machine. They're trying to get it to that, so that way they can send all the stones back in time, so Thanos can't get them. But she gets the gauntlet, but then Thanos, I think, steals it from her somehow. Oh, he like, they like getting into a fight, and like she starts kind of fucking him up. But then he kind of like starts fucking her up. Like she can't beat him by herself. None of the heroes can technically beat him by themselves. He's just too fucking strong. But basically, there's a point where she's got the gauntlet, and he's about, and he's trying to get it from her. And all the female heroes, and this was a really cool scene, which kind of just showed, like, was kind of just trying to highlight the women besides the men. All the female heroes and female side characters just fucking whoop up on Thanos, like beat the shit out of him. All of them except for Captain Marvel at this point. I think she joins in after, but like Scarlet Witch royally fucks him up, and this is and the reason he called in the mortar on his people and Spider-Man and all them is because Scarlet Witch was royally fucking him up. But basically all the females start fucking him up, and then Scarlet Witch finishes and just starts like basically like destroying his armor with him in it and like imploding it. So he's like calling the mortar or whatever.
Alcatraz, road's clear. We need to get going. Try to find a way down here. Hurry!
But basically, Thanos eventually gets a cheap shot, or eventually catches Captain Marvel off guard, and she starts fighting him. And Doctor Strange and like T'Challa and all them are fucking fighting in the background, and everyone's fucking fighting. But Doctor Strange gets stopped because he's trying to, basically, since the Avengers still was on the edge of like the ocean or whatever.
Alcatraz, what are you doing up there? You gotta get back here.
The mortars had like blown up an area to where the water could just flow down. So he's like trying to stop the flood, and Thanos gets the gauntlet, and basically everyone starts trying to whoop up on him and stop him from snapping his fucking fingers. So basically it comes down to, I think Captain Marvel is like trying. Oh, I can't remember who tried first. I think Iron Man tried it first. And then I think every Avenger tried to like stop him, and then it like comes down to Captain Marvel, and then she gets taken out, and then Doctor Strange just looks at Tony and holds up a 1, and Tony goes in and gets knocked off, and Thanos is like, I have the gauntlet, you didn't accomplish anything, I win, goes to snap, and nothing fucking happened. And Tony's nanofibers had absorbed the Infinity Stones into his armor, and it was really neat. So he snaps because Thanos goes, I win, I am Thanos, I am inevitable. And Iron Man goes, yeah, well, I'm Iron Man, and fucking snaps him out. And it basically kills him, but like slowly. So like Brody says his goodbyes, Pepper says his goodbyes, and Peter says his goodbyes. And it's a really emotional scene, and like a lot of people at this point are just crying their asses off in the film. It is a very emotional scene. And then it shows that they won because of his sacrifice, and it skips ahead to his funeral. And among everyone at his funeral was about every superhero.
We're out of time. You have to get back here now.
It was about every superhero, and the kid from Iron Man 3 who's so grown up you wouldn't even recognize him. Which kind of sucks. It's wasted potential. And his daughter's crying, and T'Challa's there, Nick Fury's standing nearly in the background as he does. And everyone's like, he was a good man, stuff like that, and his sacrifice meant everything. And Happy is comforting Tony Stark's daughter, Morgan, and he goes, I'll get you anything, what do you want? And she's like, I want a cheeseburger, which is an ode back to the first Iron Man. Whenever he gets out of the camp they stuck him in that tunnel. It's basically I think it's rising. An ode back to him getting out, and he's like, I just want an American cheeseburger. And he goes, well, your dad loved cheeseburgers. So then it goes back to Captain America, the Hulk, and
Strickland, Alcatraz, what the hell just happened out there? We're reading massive seismic activity.
Sir, you're not gonna believe this. The entire park has just risen out of the ground.
Eagle, or
We're gonna need an immediate
it goes to Falcon and Bucky, and
sir.
Captain America's like, hey, I'm gonna go back and put all this shit back in the proper times, because apparently whenever Hulk had talked to the Sorcerer Supreme, she had said that by taking the stones out of timelines, they're creating alternate universes, or like breaks in time, and if they don't return them, it'll cause problems. But also them taking away causes problems. So like that and all the Thanos snaps, I guess, just really fucked with the multiverse. And by the way, this is the last level. Basically fucked with all that shit and the multiverse.
Successful resolution of this situation. The Pentagon had authorized a STRATCOM tactical nuclear strike on the Manhattan structure, effective in 20 minutes. Whatever you plan to do, get up there and do it fast.
I have 20 minutes.
Scorpion 1.
Do I actually have a timer for
This is
this?
Scorpion 3. Coming.
I don't think so. Anyway, so Cap goes to take Thor's hammer back and take all the stones back to the timelines they grabbed them from, because they're all different timelines now because they've interfered. But it's not as bad because it doesn't change their future. But it does fuck with those timelines, so there's got to be some repercussions that might come back in later movies. But basically, he's like, how long is he going to be gone? It's like, for him, maybe a few days, or maybe a day, but for us, like 5 minutes. So they go to bring him back, and he doesn't come back. And the Hulk panics and tries to figure shit out. And by this time, like I said, he's Professor Hulk, so he's got Bruce's intellect, but the Hulk's body. And like throughout the entire movie, it's just funny to see him like that. He himself is just humorous. But then Falcon's like, where is he? And then Bucky says, look, and there's an old man sitting on a bench behind him, and it's Captain America. And they ask him, it's like, what happened to you, man? He's like, well, I went back to take all the stones, and I thought I'd try having a chance at settling down and having a life that Tony was always talking about. And it shows him dancing with her. And that's the end of the movie. But he gives his shield to Falcon, and then that's just kind of how it ends. And it kind of implies that, like, Clint retires. It kind of implies that. But also, like, all the fucking heroes that we had lost had come back. I think Vision is technically still dead, but they might bring him back because they're supposed to do, like, a Natasha and Vision series. And there was, like, that debacle with, like, him getting saved into the memory banks or something like that so they could extract the stone. So he might still be alive. But the ones who are dead are definitely Tony and Natasha. And Loki of that timeline's still dead, but like past Loki might have some involvement in their timeline. I don't know. The whole timeline stuff was a little weird because it doesn't affect their future because they're already at where they are. But since Loki was dead, it might impact it or it might merge them. But there's also like a gap in the multiverse, which is how Mysterio and all those elemental monsters come to be in the next Spider-Man movie. So it might explain more. I feel like that's going to be the closure. Well, not so much the closure, but at least like it's going to tell us.
Up on the plateau. Christ, look at this thing.
But no, I thought the arc with Clint was like pretty cool because like it started off the movie with Clint just losing his fucking family, with him having no fucking idea, and Ant-Man coming back to find out everyone he loved besides his daughter was like fucking dead. It didn't show his daughter's mom or the stepdad, so they might have been dusted. It doesn't explain.
There, see that spear? That's got to be the central structure.
The Hulk
Get us as close as you can.
hopefully has
You need to get right into the heart of the spore regulator. Once
like
you're in,
future arcs. I don't think he's ever going to get his own individual movie because like no Hulk movie's ever truly succeeded.
You'd rather take your chances
But like he's doing
This is
fine
the only shot we have.
with his involvement with the Avengers, and hopefully he gets like put in some other like
No
characters
hope in
movies.
hell we're getting
Hulk
near that
or Thor goes off
Ground's
with the
too
Guardians of the
unstable to
Galaxy,
land. Atmospherics
makes a joke
are
that they're
reading
going
off
to
the
be
chart.
the As Guardians of
Want
the
out?
Galaxy,
This is as close as we get.
and
All right, Scorpion 3, drop him off.
And
Alcatraz,
then-
we'll shadow you as far as we can.
Good luck, pal. Better you than
they're
me.
trying to figure out where Gamora went, but like he goes to hide it whenever Thor comes up, and there's apparently like some kind of like power struggle between
Alcatraz,
Quill and Thor.
Still up here. I got the suit feed up and running. I'll give you as much technical support as I can, but I'm playing
And it's
catch
kind
up
of funny,
myself.
and it ends
For
on
now,
that.
Just work your way up to the spear. I'm right on your
So
shoulder.
like, to be honest, we only lost Captain America because he's old. But there could be a way to DH him in the future because like the fucking deal with quantum mechanics and stuff, they could DH him because he does get old and then get young again in the comics. But that's due to the Infinity Stones. But since they took the Infinity Stones back, they don't have the Infinity Stones in the present, or at least they shouldn't.
yeah.
And the Sorcerer Supreme, the original one,
All this
said
bedrock
that those were
is just
the defense
hanging off the lithoship
and the
structure.
greatest tool that
It's
heroes and people of the galaxy
Could go at any
needed,
time.
but Thanos used them
Gotta
for evil,
watch
blah,
for
blah, blah,
stress
blah,
fracture.
blah. So it kind of lays the groundwork for the fact that, like, now that the Infinity Stones are gone, there could be
See what
some,
I
like,
mean?
real
I think he
fucking like,
knows.
villains. And there are a bunch of villains in the comic books, and, like, the, one of the upcoming movies is supposed to be, like, the Celestials or something like that. Oh, it's a one-shot. Or the Eternals, that's what it is. And maybe some of them might have a role in the future. But also it could like start focusing on like a lot of bad guys. But I thought that like the loss of Tony Stark. He did leave a video too, like for his family. Like he was leaving contingency videos, and like that was really emotional. His death was really emotional with Pepper, Brody, and Spider-Man. And apparently, like the whole his death in front of Spider-Man and stuff, that's gonna play a big part in the new Spider-Man because like that's what apparently is bothering him because he thinks he needs to take on the mantle of Iron Man. Because that's kind of what he was told to do.
Shit, now I see them. They're everywhere.
And I think before that movie ended.
These expeditionary guys got into the park yesterday before they were driven back. And Bell had a feedback danger as well.
What? Oh, god damn it.
All the firepower you can get.
God, how many fucking shotgun shells does it take to kill these bitches? But no, I feel like it laid the groundwork, but also like ever since the fucking Marvel movies have started, they've been introducing more and more heroes, and like I feel like now that the original heroes like Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, and Hawkeye are kind of out of the picture, it's gonna lay the foundation for like a new group of heroes, and it could possibly like bring some of the ones from like the Netflix adaptations over. I don't know, just because of the way Disney's handling it, because Disney's now doing like their own little things with the movie characters, so it would only make sense to maybe bring over some of their like Netflix adaptations. But like that's a whole debacle. Because you don't know if they're actually coming. Like I don't know how well Punisher and Daredevil would come over. Luke Cage might be pretty neat. And Iron Fist would be pretty neat. Daredevil might not be too bad. If they allow Hawkeye and Black Widow, I don't think Daredevil would be too bad. Or I wonder if they're going to do newer interpretations of it. But also now that like the multiverse is cracked and they've explored that with the Spider-Man movie, or they're going to, that could also lead to like new heroes and like different interpretations of heroes we've seen coming from different universes. You never know. Also, there's a chance at maybe a Young Avengers movie that might take place in the future, because Scott Lang's daughter is like a fucking teenager in this one. Because there's a 5-year skip. Oh, god damn it. So she could take on an Ant-Man mantle, or not like so much the mantle itself, but she could be a new character, giving us like 3 of them. And it looks like they're not afraid to like use female actors or like female superheroes. And like they really showed it with the fucking fight scene in the movie with Thanos and all the fucking female Avengers. That was fucking cool. There's even talk of like a female Avengers movie. So I don't know. I'd be down for it, but as long as it's not like fuck guys, we're chicks, but it's like hey, my thing with like all female casts or stuff like that, as long as you're like, hey, just because we're female, doesn't mean we can't do this shit. But like, if it down talks a man, it's like, and men say they're the only ones who can do this, it's a little insulting. because then it's like stereotyping that all men think that way, and then you want to get out of the stereotype that men only see them in one version or another. Bullshit. So as long as they don't pull that shit, because like my problem with like female movies that are like, yeah, go women, is don't also at the same time go fuck guys, because that puts you a step back. That's why feminists get a bad rap, because the hostile ones just kind of set a staple. Because it's like all it takes is one bad apple to ruin something. Get fucked, son. I would be completely open for Vision's return, just because, like, if they were able to, like, even get some of, like, what he was back, that would be kind of neat. Although, some of his powers came from the Time Stone, so, like, but not, like, his, well, no, I guess only his laser power came from the Time Stone. Still. But basically, we know that there's going to be an Eternals movie, and we've seen the teasers for the new Spider-Man movie, which comes out in like a month or two. So that's also neat. I already almost have enough to do more shit. But no, like, I've always loved the fucking Marvel movies. Just because, like, as a kid, I love comic books and I've loved video games. It's just how I am, it's who I am. And I feel like they've never been covered or brought to a wider media or, like, appealed to a wider audience. And I feel like the MCU, has done a good job at like appealing to everybody, because I mean there's like fucking 60-year-olds and like 4-year-old kids and like 30-year-olds in this fucking movie theater crying their eyes out over the death of Iron Man and Captain America becoming old, and like, oh my god, dude, like dude, I almost shed a tear just because like that shit resonates with you.
We don't have much time. Whatever you did back there in the hive, do it again. Good luck, man.
Yes, I'm fine for now. Let's just... That juicy squish, that's how you know. But no, it's just, that movie resonated with a lot of people, with a lot of audiences, and I feel like video games are now getting like a lot more movies and a lot more coverage, and like if comic books can do it, video games can do it. But I feel like with the way they kind of are handling the way the new Sonic movie's going, it might be more of a step back than a step forward. But they did listen to the fans, because they realized like if the people who are definitely going to watch your fucking movie aren't happy with the movie, then you're doing something wrong. And I got to admit, like, I was okay with the way Sonic looked. I wasn't 100% like, oh, it's completely fine, but I was like, the closest thing to a Sonic movie we've had, which wasn't a bad thing. It was the animated movie way back when. And it was fucking amazing. It introduced some new characters too, and then it never got a sequel just because it was animated, and at the time, like, animation I think has caught on ever since like The Lion King and stuff, but like even then it was still kind of like people were skeptical about. So like I feel like a lot of Disney movies really helped to bring animation around, and it's ironic now that Disney is helping to bring comic books and those stories to larger audiences. I feel like there's something poetic about it, to say the least. Definitely at least that. I don't know where. I have not been using my fucking binoculars hopping back into this, and I think that's one thing that's been royally fucking me. But no, I just fucking love those movies, and like, oh my god, I have sure the Avengers movies and all that shit kind of change a few things about the character, but it's not so bad as like they've botched it. It's like still within the sense of you're like, these are still the characters I know and like. And nothing's gonna change that. And I feel like DC is kind of like behind the ball on that one. I feel like they really dropped the ball. That's the expression. DC movies just like, it was funny because I had this thought today when I saw the Brightburn commercials, and I'm like, wow, making a parody-ish movie that's trying to take itself seriously about like what would happen if like a kid landed on a farm deal and he had superpowers and was an alien, but like he didn't use his powers correctly, yada yada yada. Do I have to take out each tentacle? Because right now it's only showing 2. And I'm like, wow, he still probably wouldn't kill as many people as Superman inadvertently does in the new movies. Because, like, in the new movies, they've basically ruined Superman and Batman. I'm just gonna fucking say it. Like, you took 2 characters who, in sole entire vows, were to never kill no matter what. And Batman's is so fucking bad that he, like, lets serial killers live. Because he realizes, and the whole Batman thing is, like, Batman doesn't kill not because he shouldn't or not because it's wrong. Batman can't kill because the line between Batman and the enemies he fights is so thin that if he gives in and kills like they do, he's no different than they are. And that's been explored in a bunch of Batman comics and a bunch of shit. So, like, there are a few comics where it shows what would happen if he actually did kill, and he's basically no better than the Joker, because he gives in. And he just starts fucking killing criminals. One of them that I thought was really dumb was, like, him as a vampire. And at first he, like, controls it pretty well, but then, like, he just kind of fucks it up. I thought that one was at least a little neat. The other one is he snaps Joker's neck and he like takes in Joker toxin, and it basically turns him into the Batman who laughs, which fucking amazing character, by the way. Really interesting, explores the whole like backwards dynamic to Batman. It basically portrays him as if he was on the other side. He wasn't good, he was evil. But it's after him being good too, so like with all that foundation he still turns, so it's even a bigger play. So he's still got all that experience and a bunch of other shit, so it's like, damn. Can I not, like, make a fucking jump here? Like, what the fuck? Just gonna crouch over here. Stability for a second. I fucked myself. To the other side. Thank God I was near cover. I don't think any of them are the special ones. I haven't watched the new Shazam movie. It's still in theaters. I might go watch it this week, actually. Say fuck it. To be honest, actually, I can't even watch movies because of my work schedule. And me, like, being always scheduled till 9. I think the latest our movie showings go in my town is like 7. So I can only watch movies on Mondays and Tuesdays, so I bet Shazam will probably be gone by then. If it isn't, I'll fucking watch it. Because when I went to go watch the fucking Avengers, it was still in. That looked like it really actually held the character to, like, a good standard. And apparently, from what I've heard, it was actually a decent movie.
No time to stay and fight, man. You gotta get back in there.
But like, the way they handled Batman was kind of a fucking joke. The way they handled Suicide Squad was kind of a fucking joke. Because, like, they made Killer Croc way more humanistic than he was, like, actually Crocodile. He's supposed to be... In the original animated series, he was humanistically sized. But now it's like, whatever, what the fuck, I guess, type shit. And it's just like, why even? Okay, so if that's a combat unit, this is a... Oh, I guess the one up there is only a grunt. I thought it was a big guy. I guess it was just closer, so he looked bigger to me. Superman's whole dynamic is like, I get it, you want to make his fight epic, you want to make Superman this big badass, and like, in the new movie, they brought him, like, I hate it that they just, like, they killed off Superman in the second movie, Batman v Superman, and they brought him back in the next fucking movie, and not like the next, and not like, oh, it's the next, all-inclusive movie. It was like, no, it was the next fucking DC movie. Actually, I think they did one of them in between. But it was like, really, what the fuck? I guess I gotta get rid of that. Apparently Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they've done fucking tremendous shit, and I commend them for, and Shazam. It's just like, for some reason, your two most important characters, the ones that are supposed to, like, lead everything, like, Superman and Batman are the Iron Man and Captain America of the franchise, and they couldn't get them right. And the only reason the MCU took off is because they got a handle on Iron Man, and it got people into the fucking movies, and then they got a handle on Captain America. The Hulk movie fucking failed, and if they would have just taken everything out the Hulk movie, shit would have went south. Apparently the Hulk actor was a douche, which is the reason they cast, I think his name's Mark Ruffalo, whatever the fuck it is, as the Hulk. Afterwards.
Lake, man. There's no other way through. You gotta jump down there.
Oh, neat.
But make sure you tool up before you... Oh.
Make sure I tool up. Well, that's fine. Yeah, no, it's just they fucked those characters. They've handled every character pretty good, and I mean, like, technically, the Hulk movie is canon. And they were actually gonna bring, the Abomination from that movie into, the Age of Ultron, but, like, instead, I think they replaced it with the,
They're right on you! They're right on you!
Iron... the Hulkbuster and the Hulkbuster and the Hulk fight is apparently what I think they did instead. Oh, would you look at that? Did they? I guess they ran off. Or at least over here for some reason. Wait, what? Are you shitting? I think this is actually supposed to be the final fight too.
The Stratcom order just went through. Oh my god, they're gonna do it! Alcatraz, you are out of time! Go, go!
Sorry, I had to buy all of those. I have 3 people watching me. Sweet. I appreciate you. I have no reason to fight anyone anymore in this game, so I can just sneak past. And this should be the end of the game.
Listen, Alcatraz, the spore is reactive. It's a protective system. You need to look for cyborg cabling in the wall. Use the suit to wrench some of it loose.
What the fuck am I even doing? I think it's cool how Prophet becomes
Thought I'd gone?
my suit.
Well, I thought so too. But the suit, man. Hargreave was right. The suit changes all the rules. They got inside me. The Ceph, they got inside. I had to break the link to the suit, or lose control for good. And you were there, in front of me, dying in front of me. Man, I had to take the chance, give you the chance to finish what I started. It was our only hope. Look at that. Not just New York, not just Lingshan. See, the Ceph have been around forever, man. And they built everywhere. Everywhere.
Assimilation. Did it cure all the people? Wait, I thought everyone was supposed to be evac. Why are there still people in the fucking place?
But this thing isn't even close to over. You and me, Marine, we don't get to die just yet. We gotta go back. Back where we're needed.
Am I reaching the Force Recon Marine just recovered at Central Park? Aware of Jacob Hargreaves' nanoshell? Wait. I'm adjusting the feed. Allow me to introduce myself. Karl Ernstrasch, at your service. And you are?
They call me Prophet.
So I guess, I don't know if it explains it, but like he ends this one saying he's Prophet. And I think Prophet's mind eventually takes over because I think technically the Marine dies, but Prophet inhabits his body to keep him alive and uses the suit. So now I'm going to switch over to the third game. And I finished that one with this stream being under 2 hours, but Over 100 minutes, so not bad. I feel like midlife crisis. Wait, no, I didn't title it that. I think I titled this stream Endgame Rant. Technically, it was the in-game for 2. But, man, this Mexican candy is not bad. Lucas Palucas. But, no, I feel like the way movies are heading, hopefully it continues to prosper and the MCU grows. Because I'm not dissatisfied with the new Spider-Man. I thought the one before him was better, though. I feel like it was wasted potential to take him out, but I feel like the new one isn't too terrible either, and that's not bad. So, I'm going to start Crisis 3, so I'm going to end my stream and start that.